Outlet Liquor is your place to buy a case. Stock up and save when you shop the lowest prices available every day at Outlet Liquor. You never have to wait for a sale. The more you buy, the more you save. Only at Outlet Liquor.
What's your outlet?
Welcome, everybody, to All Hang Up and Listen. I am your host of Two Goalies on Mike. Duane is here to celebrate with two of my counterparts with Trade Rex Sports, with Two Goalies on Mike, with Crossing Swords Podcast, Steve Lehman, the producer Steve, and Carson Gates, Mr. Gatesy 35 himself. Boys, huge win, second in as many nights against the Flyers. Steve, I'm going to let you lead it off right now because I know you're especially happy more than anybody.
Yeah. For anyone who's seen me on the show before, you know that I lived in Philly for about 7 years. So I've been watching the Flyers play hockey a lot because I'm going to keep watching live hockey, even if it's not my team playing. I just want to watch the game. So I've seen the Flyers at their height, Giroux at his peak, JVR, back when Voracek was in town, back when people didn't abandon Ghost Bear, back when Carter Hart was a guy who's worth signing to a contract like that. I watched the world freak out over Gritty and think that he was fucking terrifying for a week. And then they were like, oh, wait, but actually he's rad. Or I don't even know. But to now be at this point where they're taking the kind of L's that Buffalo has been taking for a decade, it is the Captain Holt vindication meme, just 1,000-fold. I couldn't be, and it just brings me back to this one game me and some Western New York buddies went to in Philly, like a week before my birthday, like right before COVID. The Sabres got fucking pumped. I think it was like a 6-1 loss, and there was just this fucking dude who just every single time they scored would like turn around, do this like fuck you, bro. And he was like egging on this like horde of teenagers that were sitting in his section with him, and it was just like, I hope that dude is big sad tonight. I don't know who you are, but I hope you're very sad. I hope those teenagers realize that you're a dork, and I hope that you enjoy your rebuild because it is going to be rough. Have fun with Rasmus Ristolainen. Why did you sign him to another deal, you fucking dork? Oh, my God. Why? I'm sorry.
Gatesy, how you feeling?
It was a really nice game. Again, the Sabres fell down early to Philly. That didn't seem to really slow them down. It almost seemed to like make them play a little better and kind of hunker down. And the Sabres seems just fun to watch. There's only 4 games left. And I think for the first time in almost my entire life, I don't want the season to end. I'm just so excited till that next Sabres game to watch this team perform. And there's a very hot team right now. And it's just so nice to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, how often can we sit there and say at this point in the season or the last how many years that we don't want the season to end? Like, normally fans are ready for training camp by this point or the draft, or I know that we got the draft just a week away or maybe a little bit more. People are looking at their mock drafts, who the Bills are going to take. Will they trade up? Will they trade down? What type of movement will there be for the Buffalo Bills on draft day? Where we're talking about the Buffalo Sabres in a very positive way, and it's not something that we're quite used to. I mean, at least, you might not be too much used to it, Gates. You're much younger than me, but this really brings back the feels for me from those mid-2000s, late 2000s teams, the late 90s. Like, there were such fun hockey teams to watch and brought such positive vibes to not just myself, but the city. And, it's such a breath of fresh air to see a team really not just outperform expectations, but individual players outperform massively their expectations. And to be able to talk about like what moves they're going to make come the offseason, but to make their team not in terms of rebuilding, but to possibly make a playoff push next year. Like, that's an exciting time for Buffalo Sabres hockey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking back to like my earliest Sabres memories. I remember getting an inflatable Stanley Cup for like the 2006-7 run. And I remember like a Finneganov scoring like one game. And that's about like really most of my Sabres playoff memories. And
Yeah.
I remember like 2010, like the last year, they're like an 8 seed. And I remember thinking then like, wow, this team's just not good. But I think I would give anything to see like a Sabres playoff game right now. I wish I kind of would have cherished it a little more when I was younger, so I wouldn't have to wait, over half my life now to see it again. But it's going to make it that much better when it does happen.
You know what? And it's sometimes you take those things for granted, those little things, those little bit of memories that you do get, because you never know like how fleeting it can be, because it's been 11 years since we've even had an opportunity to make the playoffs. I mean, the closest we've been, I think, was maybe under Bilesma, I want to say.
Yeah.
Like maybe under Dan Bilesma.
I guess.
Well, other than that, we haven't been close. And it's just super, super exciting. We have a few comments here in the chat. Paramat Pictures. This season, we learned we did get something for the Ryan O'Reilly trade. Next season is where we figure out if we want it. Ryan who? Jack who? Couldn't agree with you more, buddy. And then David H. 11 years. Finally, I got hope. Right? Like, there's hope and there's optimism, and it feels so good to be a Sabres fan right now.
Yeah. It's like, even I spend a lot of my time in the Facebook group chats for Sabres stuff, like pages, and it's a place where you really get to see a little bit of everything. And I think for the first time since I've been doing it, there's good energy, positive thoughts. I mean, 2 months ago, Darlene was out the door. They wanted everyone gone, and now this team, the city's kind of believing them again. And you look at the Bills, like, everyone on that Bills team is really idolized by the city. And you look back to those 2006-7 years, and when they went to the Cup with Hasek, that team, all the players were idolized. And I think this team has that same energy to it right now in the 7-1-6. And I think just people in Buffalo really appreciate this group, what they're bringing every single night.
Yeah, I honestly think it's just because, the team that we're seeing this year is just night and day from what we've been seeing for the past decade. Even when they're losing, they're not giving up and just walking home with their tail between their legs. They're fighting every single shift, every single game, even the games that they lose, even when they lose by a lot. The closest anecdote we can think of is, on the scoreboard Thursday night, it was a 6-2 loss to the St. Louis Blues. But I looked at the mentions in that final score posting on the Sabres Twitter, and it wasn't fire this guy into the sun, fire this coach, fire the general manager, this team's a fucking dumpster fire, I can't believe I've wasted any fucking time and money paying attention. It was just like, you guys played hard. I can't be mad about it. Just move on to the next one. And it's like, I really can't remember the last time the fan base has just like had that kind of optimism. It's like, yeah, you're going to lose sometimes because we know like this isn't a playoff team yet. But there's clearly something growing here, and people are finally starting to like catch on and respond to it. It's not a flash in the pan. It's not just a one-hit wonder. Like, this is really shaping up into be the real thing. And, the offseason is going to be huge because there are those, 3 key pieces that everyone's thinking about what we got to do. One, of course, being some sort of stopgap goaltender while we find who could be that guy. Levi and Portillo, of course, choosing to go back to college. UPL might be our 1B or 2A. But, somebody other than 41-year-old Craig Anderson, as much as I love the guy, as much as he's clearly great in the locker room, that cannot be where we rest our faith for another 82 games. I'm sorry. So that's question number 1. Question number 2, who can we get in the top 4 on the right-hand side to go with either Darlene or Power, because we can't be splitting Yoki Haru between the two of them, and I don't want to see Darlene play on his offside to play with Samuelson, as much as it has been working in these past couple of games. These are important questions that the offseason are going to be crucial in answering, and that's going to be the real test of is this real, or is it just going to be too little too late?
Yeah, I've been criticized a lot. I've been, told I'm stupid. People have agreed with me, however you want to put it. And I'm normally not a guy who wants to pay a goalie a lot of money, and I'm still all about that. I don't want to pay goalies lots of money because I just don't think that you need to pay goalies like what Carey Price and Bobrovsky make to win a Stanley Cup. And history, especially more recently than not, proves it. I mean, Vasilevsky makes a lot of money, but he also has an insanely talented team in front of him. Like they've written the blueprint that was started by Steve Yzerman there about how to build a team. You lock up the core pieces and you find those glue guys and try and keep some of them around, but they're interchangeable. Your glue guys like a Pat Maroon, like a before you let him leave in free agency, like Blake Coleman, just to name a couple. I think who was the one that signed with the Rangers?
Buchnevich?
No, but not Buchnevich, but Barclay Goodrow. Just
Right.
glue guys. You find those guys, you implement them on cheap deals. Let them exceed what they're worth on those deals. Let them play past their value, the value you put on them on that contract, and you let them go somewhere else. But in the time that you had them on the team, along with that core that you've already had, your Kucherov, your Stamkos, your Hedman, your Point, just to name a few, like your Vasilevsky, like you keep that group together and you continuously just keep building them around them. And like that's what I've always wanted to blueprint, the Chicago and the Tampa Bay blueprint. But right now, I think we're in a situation where you do have to overpay for a goalie a little bit in order to get a good one here. And there are some options out there. I know, Steve, me and you have texted quite a bit about it. But I'm looking at that, not just goaltending, but obviously you need to bring in a defenseman to play along with Owen Power. I don't think Yoki Haru's the answer. I just don't. Like, I just think he's too streaky. That one play on that goal in front where he just dove to the puck carrier. That's like, you just keep your position in front. Like, and that to me also shows distrust in your own goaltender, because the guy, he was on a bad angle, and for whatever reason, Yoki Haru was diving at him, leaving a man wide open, leaving Owen Power to take two players in front by himself. Like, I just didn't, I just don't think he's the answer. Maybe he can replicate what he did next year. But until then, I'm looking for a defenseman to play with Owen Power next season in my top four. And I just don't think, I don't know if Yoki Haru is the answer. I just don't know. But I also look to improve yourself down the middle and on the wing. I mentioned the chat. I mentioned on the last episode too. I'm like, speak it into existence. He's been on the trade block in Vancouver plenty of times. JT Miller, he can make this team better. He's still young. I think he's 29 years old. Like, he's probably in his prime right now. Go get that guy. You might have to overpay him for a little bit, but you're not going to sign him to an 8-year deal. Go overpay for that guy a little bit. You have the cap space to do it.
I think one of the biggest things we brought up there was that consistency of coaching. Like, if you look at Stevie Y, who you brought up earlier, he turned around Tampa Bay, found his coach down there. He's in Detroit right now, and Detroit's kind of a team people compared Buffalo to last season, and they've totally just flip-flopped positions. I mean, Buffalo just passed them in the standings after tonight's win, and one of the bigger reasons for Detroit's kind of misfortunes this year, from my buddy's a big Detroit fan, big writer for them and everything, is their systems are just not working for their team, and Buffalo has a guy at the helm who knows what he's doing for the right players, and that's Granato. And I think as long as Adams, who's proven he can build a team right now and find the pieces that work with the Granato system, and I think having those two together, they're going to figure it out. Like, they've kind of proven themselves so far in this free agency period is going to be a big for this team.
I agree.
Yeah, just a couple positions, nothing major compared to other years where it seems like we need a little bit of everything. It's just find what works for the squad.
3 to 4 spots, I think. Yeah, obviously, I mean, goaltending, whether it's both of them or just somebody to be your full-time starter in front of UPL. Because I don't even know if Steve, you're more in touch with what's going on in Rochester. I pay attention, but, UPL has struggled a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, there have definitely – I mean, it's not completely on UPL. For the amount of goals that Rochester does score, they are also, like, one of the top in the league for, like, giving up shots. So, to be fair, it's been, like, more consistent with what we're used to seeing in Sabres land years prior, that the team in front of the goaltender is not really giving the guy the chance to truly thrive. So I don't know how much of that is, double hip surgery a couple years back. I don't know how much of that is just confidence, but he did just have a big weekend. He put up a 2-1 W just last night. The night before, he only gave up. So he's given up 3 goals in the past back-to-back starts. One was on a penalty shot, and the other 2 were power play goals. So to be fair, those are usually just hard situations to stop in general, because either you're one man down or it's just a one-on-one shootout attempt. So to that end, I think his time in Rochester has definitely been proving fruitful. Again, with some of the better defensemen from Rochester now playing in the Sabres system, obviously Matthias Samuelsson and, Casey Fitzgerald, who has games where he's on and has games where he makes a few blunders. I don't know if Bryson's necessarily the partner for a guy like him, but either way, there's not that much in the way of defensive strength left behind in Rochester now. I mean, they've got Ethan Prow, who's pretty all right, Schultz, but Laaksonen, as nice as he can be offensively for a good setup, the guy's a turnover machine. So again, I don't need to tell you, that, there's a game within the game, and there's so much that could be playing into what's making UPL not be like a bright and shining star with a 960 save percentage. And I don't think it's all solely on that dude's shoulders. I think there's just so much happening with that team that, for all the goals that Quinn and Paterka are putting up, they are not as sound as they should be on the blue line. And as a result, UPL is getting pumped, and there are just some things that he just can't stop. Everyone lets in a few softies, but I don't know. I honestly think that, next season, especially with Portillo and Levi taking another year in the college system, you got to call him up. You got to make him be starting at least 30 nights. You got to know once and for all, can this be a guy? Can this be the guy? And if not, as much as I would hate to say, you got to move on. Yep. Because otherwise you're wasting his time, you're wasting your time, and there are 2 dudes that are going to be chomping at the bit to be that guy. And if you're, treading water with a guy that has proven himself, he's just not going to find it. You got to move on. But next year's got to be the year where you got to ask that question. So yeah, we definitely got to get UPL up. There's no excuse to keep him down there another year.
He's performed well when we give him the chance up here, but like you said, he's streaky. I know me and Cully and you too, Gatesy, he's had double hip surgery. He's had the lower body issues at a very young age. So it's kind of hard to gauge how long of a career is this kid going to have? Can he play a full season? I don't know. I mean, he was even hurt this season. It's difficult to say. And, it's just kind of weird that he comes up, even in a small sample size, he comes up here, and maybe he's the type of guy who, when playing down in the AHL, he plays down to that level, but he brings his game up a level when he's gotten the taste of the NHL. I don't know. As a goalie, with the mentality of it, I guess I could see the frustration of being in the AHL and not being up in the NHL when you've proven that you can play up there. I don't know if that's taken that. Here's the thing. That's kind of like the mental side of the game. Can he handle that? Can he handle the ebbs and flows of the goaltending position at the highest level?
Yeah, I mean, the difference between Rochester's games and Buffalo's games, it's not even the same sport half the time. The Rochester's kind of running gun style, and they're very lax defensive play a lot of times. I think it's really hard on UPL to kind of balance the two. When you camp with Buffalo, that was probably the dog days of the season. I would say end of December, beginning of January is when he was here, and I mean, I remember Dowling was ice cold. No one was really. Tuck hasn't broken the lineup yet. And it was tough, but he's the bright spot. He played well in the games he was there.
Mm-hmm. He took a lot of pucks too.
A lot of pucks. And last night for Rochester, he had a 1-0 shutout win.
Yep.
I believe it was 2-1, but
2-1.
I don't think it was a shutout.
He played insane.
Yeah, he had a fantastic night last night, and that's the reason why they're still in the playoff push.
Yeah, he's someone that they've taken their time with, and that's what we want. I remember fans talking about it forever, give the kid time. And I think he's kind of proven at the NHL level, and next year is going to be the time he's going to have to kind of prove it. Like he's got the guys behind him now, and it's time for him to run with the reins a little bit.
I agree. You have to find out, now what you have in this kid. No, not now, but the start of next season. Like, he can't be put in a situation where he struggles to make the team again in training camp like this past season. Like, it's either now or never, kid. Like, you've had, 3 years now to really try and crack this lineup. I know goalies take longer to develop than most, and I've been a huge advocate of allowing him to continue to develop in Rochester. But this will be his second, almost 2 full years in Rochester, right? I know he played a good portion of last season in Rochester, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did.
And now this would be his second almost full season in Rochester with a cup of coffee in the NHL. So like it's time to put up or shut up. I think he's gonna be 23 or 24. I want to say
99. I think he's 22 right now, turning 23.
Yeah, he'll be 23 going 24 come next season. So like, this is right around the time where you would expect him to try and make that jump into the NHL. Like, it's not like I wouldn't say it's a make or break, but like this is the point where you've put your time in the AHL, you've competed in enough games at that level to try and make the jump in the NHL. So it's time to put up or shut up in a way. Am I again? Do I say you have to trade him? No. Like if he can't make it, in the NHL next year, I guess you have a really good hopefully a really good goaltender in Rochester, to be an insurance policy for you in the NHL if you ever have to call upon him. But that's why I say you really should look for 2 solid goaltenders in the offseason. There's nothing wrong with some competition in training camp.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously in the short term, it's incredibly important because, Craig Anderson, and actually that is a question that's in here from Paramount Pictures again. If Craig decides to hang up the skates this offseason, would you want to bring him back as a goalie coach / assistant? And my answer to that would be, if he doesn't want to pull the Ryan Miller approach of just taking a year off hockey and just living a life as a human being away from the sport, sure. But I'm guessing he might want to take a little bit of a vacation. But...
Yeah, I don't think he comes back. Honestly, but his whole family's down in Florida. I just don't know if after having the career he had, as long as it was, if he's going to just step right into a role with a team, in Western New York, especially having to relocate his entire family to Buffalo. I don't think he wants to spend that much time away from his family anymore. So for me, I would say no, but it's not. But I would be so open to it. Like, I would like to see it. But I don't think it would ever happen just because he has so much. His entire family lives in Florida.
And
Job says if he wants it.
Yeah,
but
he's given so much more to Buffalo than we could have expected out of him, both on and off the ice. Like, I remember when he was signed, it almost went over everybody's heads. Like, oh, he's probably gonna be a third, maybe a backup, but he's taken the reins. And then he's really kind of molded this whole group, not just like younger goalies, and the whole team seems to be I remember, I think it was Granato talking about how like anytime he gives up a goal, like the next media timeout will come over to the bench, calm everyone down, and the team's good to go. And I think that's been so important for this young group, not only this year, but kind of going into the rest of their careers here in Buffalo.
Yeah, he was actually saying, I think it was actually last night when Buffalo was down 2-0 going into the second. Craig was the one that initially spoke up in the locker room and, quelled the fears and just tried to get everybody back on track. And I thought that was a really interesting point that Granato made. It's like the best thing I do as a coach is I just get the hell out of the way of my guys. They know what they need to do because they're the talented players that they are. And at this point, they're building their own culture that I don't need to be the one to tell them what to do. I don't need to force anything down their throats. They right the ship themselves, and Craig was the one who spoke up, let everybody know. Obviously we're down, but we're never out, especially no offense, but especially not against this year's Philadelphia Flyers. And arguably they were defensively stronger because Rasmus was out of the lineup this weekend. So if anything, they were slightly better than they could have been, but still not great.
I mean, I haven't really watched a full Philly game this year besides like the couple Sabres games, and the only clips I've seen of Ristolainen have not been the best ones in the world of him. So I don't know how he's played, for a full 60, but I feel like Flyers fans just can't be happy with the return and then the contract on top of that.
Yeah, that's very clearly a guy who like just knows he's gonna get fired, but to admit defeat and trade him would just be like, yeah, I know I fucked up. So like you just doubled down on fucking up by signing him for another $5 million for I think like another 4 or 5 years. I don't understand it. I mean, obviously I understood it when we did it several years back when he was much younger and had yet to prove himself and he was a high prospect and at that point there wasn't a lot of talent coming in the door. So you lock down the guys that you draft in the first round and you don't think twice about it. But clearly we know what you're getting out of Rasmus Ristolainen and you're still signing him to that money.
I think my favorite Ristolainen play of all time is still him just falling into the boards.
Yeah.
The ghost. Oh my God, I love the ghost.
Laid out by the ghost. You gotta love it.
That was some Scooby-Doo shit. I loved it.
Great. But with that being said, guys, next topic of discussion, I definitely want to touch on the fact that yours truly with Mr. Gatesy 35 over there did happen to predict the score of this game on the pregame show, but not just the score, because that's not just impressive. I did predict most of the scoring for said game. So let's take a look at this video that Gatesy clipped up for us and provided us with here. Just give me one moment. I'll bring it up. But Gatesy, I every time somebody scored, I was in your ear, bud.
I know. I think you're just kind of. I talked first in that segment. I think you just kind of took all my good ideas and put it together. So
is that what I did?
A little bit of credit for that. But
that's what I did. All right.
It was literally each goal. I was like, oh, that's another one for Duane, and then the score was 4-2. I was like, oh, one more goal each. Like with a period and a half left, I don't know if it's gonna happen. And then soon enough, it happens, and Tage gets the empty netter, and I'm like, oh my God.
That's right.
Someone get the charts out.
Let me see if I can bring that up real quick here. I'm still so illiterate. Can you guys see it?
No. I cannot.
Well, I'm trying to share screen here. This is getting annoying. Anyways, I predicted the score. I predicted that Darlene would have a multi-point assist game. I predicted that Olofsson and Tage Thompson will continue their hot hands, both scoring goals. And can't remember if I predicted Tage would have 2 goals, but absolutely, I was super pumped every time there was a scoring change, and it was eventually 5-3. I don't think I've ever been more happy to see the Sabres get scored on for that third one.
And if you want to see the full video, 2 goalies, 1 mic on Twitter. It's up posted. Take a peek, see the full thing in action because when you said, I was like, oh, it's a lot of detail, but you nailed it.
Here it comes. Hold on one second. I think I can bring it up here. Hold on. Let's see here. Hold on. This is so professional, guys. I am sorry. Hold on.
It's only taken us 78 games this season.
Are we seeing it?
Got nothing.
No.
Anything?
Moving.
Now I'm much smaller on the margins.
Same issues as earlier.
His hot
No picture.
No picture?
Too. God. It's okay. We have faces made for podcasting.
It's true. I don't understand why that's not working. But anyways, I was super pumped when they Tage scored on the empty netter. Made it 5-3. I predicted it all. Free money right here. If you ever need advice on any NHL prop betting, come see yours truly. I'll win you some free money.
Mr. Duane.
Yeah, Duane S39. But anyways, how many games do we have left in the season? It's like 4 games left in the season.
That's it.
Obviously, we're not going to touch 500. That's just not going to happen. But how do you want to see this team finish out? What more do you want to see, and what more do you want to see from what players?
Yeah, I mean, I know we touched on it a little bit of just overall consistency because this team's been hot and cold. Since Eichel kind of showed up in 2015, it's like this team's really hot. Like, oh, we have all these hopes, and then a month later, everything's gone, and we're back in the lottery. And thankfully, since the team's kind of found their stride with Tuch, they've continued their momentum. If they lost a game, they got blown up by Tampa, they rebounded right back. They'll be down 4-0 to Chicago in the first period, come back and win it. Like, this team has fight. And with 4 games left, it really just seems like each game they're getting better and better, which, again, I don't know if we could ever say that in the past. Normally it's, oh, my God, it's March. End it right now. But and I just want to see. I really like the play of Rasmus. Ristolainen's on my mind from Dolly in the past month or so. His aggression, he's found that edge to his game that fans been calling for. He's zipping pucks around. He's confident with the puck, moving it everywhere, and he's been like I'd say the past couple games he's just really been on it. And if he can finish the season like this, start next season well, and hopefully next year he can go without the 2-month stretch of kind of being a ghost out there and not being the player that fans kind of imagined. I think that's the biggest thing right now.
Yeah, definitely Darlene. I'm all in favor. I honestly I think he point number 50 tonight. He got his
first time
tonight.
since they brought this on TV. It's been a lifetime since the Sabres team and put up 50.
Definitely, I would like to see him try and get at least 50, anywhere between 55 and 57 points. I think it's very doable for him with the pace he's playing at. Just shove it right up the friggin' all the haters' hoops. It's just so good to see him playing this well, and it's just so funny because anytime you tweet it out, where's all the Darlene haters? Remember, you all wanted him gone 2-3 months ago. The ones that did want him gone, they're silent. They're nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. Those are the worst kind of fans because they're waiting for him to fail. They want him to fail so they can start speaking up again. It's a fact. So I want to see him continue to develop and continue to just hammer away points here in the last 4 games.
Let's be honest. Those fans either have secret Maple Leafs jerseys in their bottom drawers, or they just buy the jersey of whatever team won the cup that year. So they've got Blues jerseys, they've got Caps jerseys, they've got 2 Tampa Bay jerseys at this point, and they've, But that said, obviously Darlene's going to keep putting up a point or 2 a night for the next 4 nights. With those 4 matchups, we've got one against the Devils, one against the Isles, one against the Bruins, and the final game, of course, RJ's last call against the Blackhawks. Duane and I are going to be at that in person. Realistically, we should be able to get 3 out of 4 of those dubs. I don't think I need to say which team we're probably going to get an L from. I think we know, the team in that equation that's actually going to the playoffs. They've been going to the playoffs forever. I hate to say it, but they are just a good team. They're just not going to be a bad team. It would just take a complete fucking collapse of everyone that's good on that team for them to truly just not be a part of the equation. They're always part of it. Even when you think they're not in, they're in. But that said, what I really want to see from an individual standpoint, Dylan Cousins is 3 points away from a 40-point total threshold for the season. Obviously, Tage Thompson is 4 goals away from 40 for the season. That would be incredible. I feel like we're going to get just 39 just to make it fucking bittersweet because that would be the Buffalo
honestly, I'm okay with 39 just because I don't want to give his agent anything to, he's got multi 40 goals, 40 seasons. You should pay him more than Jeff Skinner. No, I'm fine with 38 or 39. Sorry, Tage, but I'm thinking big picture here.
Jeff Skinner's got 2 points left to get before he's at 60 for the year. We want to get every fucking penny out of that $9 million that we're paying him. So I'm perfectly okay with making him work for it. Alex Tuck, 36 points in 46 games. You can't really ask too much more of that guy after missing 6+ months with a shoulder injury. Peyton Krebs also had a multi-point night tonight. Let's not forget that. Only 22, half a point a game, 22 points in 44 games is essentially a rookie. Let's go. That's great.
What's Victor at for goal wise? What's he at right now with the goal?
He reached 20. Yeah, he's at 20 as of
Olsen's at 20.
60 games without scoring too.
Well, technically, I'm not sure if that was accurate because he was at 19 before this game started, if I'm not mistaken. So he should be at 21.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So he should be above. He should be above Kyle Okposo. I'm not sure if. I'm pretty sure that this stat counter is up to date because Otter York's 5th goal is
4 20-goal scorers on this hockey team right now.
Yeah, we got 4 20-plus goal scorers. Obviously, the 5th person in line is Dylan Cousins at 13. I severely doubt we're going to get 7 goals in 4 games. That That would be fucking lit. If we get 7 goals in 4 games out of Dylan Cousin, I'm buying a Heritage Classic Cousins.
There you
And
go.
you can quote me on that.
Few more comments here in the peanut gallery. Tucker Thompson, who should wear the C next year, has always been a topic for discussion since Tuck has played his first game. I think it's hands down Alex Tuck. There's no reason it shouldn't be. The guy is a proven leader. He is born to wear the C for this hockey team. I think everybody knows, and I think it's just a foregone conclusion at this point. It's hard for me to pick anybody else over Alex Tuck.
Agreed. Everything Tuck brings on the ice, but also his off ice, like that's what's most important about wearing the C is what he can bring in the locker room and even just on the bench, stuff like that. And you can kind of tell from the previous man that wore the C that was something that was lacking, and it kind of resulted in the whole team falling apart around it. And I think Tuck's done more than enough to embrace the city of Buffalo since coming here and just being what fans have always wanted in their captain, that it should be him.
Yeah. Everybody in the locker room got a fist bump last night from Josh Allen, but only one man received a bro hug, and that was Alex Tuck.
Only one man.
Real recognized real, game recognized game. That's all you need to know. The choice has been made by the mayor of Buffalo.
One last comment from Sean Benjamin. PK and Patrick Kane is going into his last contract year. Chicago have to be sellers in the offseason. My question is Buffalo kicking the tires now that Eichel is out. I think Buffalo would definitely make the phone call. I think Kevin Adams makes the phone call just to see what it would take. He's not doing his job if he isn't. But I have it on good account from people like Kyle Quick, who's been, a consistent guest on Two Goalies on Mike, who is really in touch with guys like him and just that community of Buffalo hockey players. And he seems to be of the strong belief that Pat Kane probably wouldn't want to sign with Buffalo just because of just the bad history that's gone on here with him off the ice. Like, I think he would want to stay away from that. He'll keep his nose clean and not just keep away from that. However you feel about the situations that transpired while he was home in Buffalo. Like, I think he just wants to, stay under the radar, keep his nose clean, and just not put himself in any bad spots. And, for things that could happen if he were to come home and play in Buffalo.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair assessment. I think another thing worth noting is just the overall culture of Buffalo. I want to say it was something that Don Granato said. I think it was in that one episode of the not the Instigators, but After the Whistle with Petey and Craig, that there isn't a lot of ego in the locker room right now. And I'm not saying that Pat Kane is an egomaniac, but every single person that is on the precipice of being like a big star on this team, they are all guys that are still at this moment proving themselves to the rest of the league. Like Alex Tuck has been a chip on his shoulder guy who has been the odd man out twice in his former clubs, first with Minnesota and then, of course, with Vegas, having been traded here. Jeff Skinner, ever since signing that whale of a deal, has been a dude who's had to prove himself to be worth that money. Rasmus Dahlin, as of 3 months ago, was somebody who should have been booted out of town, still proving himself. Cousins and Krebs, still too young to truly know, are they going to be superstars or are they just going to be pretty fucking good? Either way, I'm perfectly happy with either. Casey Middlestat, like these are all people that, they're humble, they're hungry, they know that they have work to do and they're not going to stop doing the work. And I'm not trying to say that Pat Kane is a, PK Subban level egomaniac, but I think it stands to reason that the guy knows he's fucking good. And there might be a little bit of that attitude that he might bring into the locker room. And that might not be the vibe that Donnie and Kevin want in that room.
PK Subban, I think that guy gets a bad rap personally. I know he does a lot on social media. He does a lot of self-promotion, but at the same time, like I still think that he's still a phenomenal talent. And I would hope that the locker room that we've put together so far and the leadership group we've put together so far could handle a player like Pat Kane coming into it, because like that, one player shouldn't disrupt everything, in my opinion, especially if you have a strong leadership group. Like, and I don't know what Pat Kane's story has been in Chicago in terms of being a locker room guy. I've never heard anything bad, But I would hope that the culture that's being built in Buffalo's locker room right now wouldn't be negatively affected by a guy like Patrick Kane. I think everybody knows that the business of this game is to win a Stanley Cup, and sometimes you do have to make moves like that in order to move the needle. And as of right now, I'm sorry, this team isn't good enough to move the needle on its own. You do have to add pieces. Is that piece Pat Kane? I don't know. I really don't. I don't know if he would want to come here. You would think, like, looking at it by itself, like Pat Kane himself, he was a Sabres fan growing up. You would think that he would want to be just like Alex Tuck, don that jersey and be an integral part in this team raising its first ever Stanley Cup. You would think that he would want to be a part of that. But at the same time, there is a whole separate issue of what's gone on in his life off the ice when he's been home in Buffalo. Again, and I don't take anyone's side on that. Like, whatever you think about what happened with him, that's your opinion alone. But pushing all that aside, whether you should or you shouldn't, I think that he still has a ton of talent left, and he may not be the MVP player, but that is still like a 70-plus point player that you would add to your roster. And if he can buy into what's going on in your locker room and he could be a part of the solution, I would absolutely be all for bringing Pat Kane to Buffalo. But I just don't know if he would want to come here. And I mentioned a couple of times, like, if I'm looking for a trade partner, I'm looking at a team like Vancouver, who has really struggled to move the needle themselves and might have guys that, need a change of scenery, guys that may have a chip on their shoulder of their own. I know you mentioned Brock Besser. I believe it was you, Steve.
But
as much a JT Miller guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like JT Miller too. I got no complaints about his game, but at the end of the day, for what this team needs right now, he is yet another guy on the left side.
He can play center though too.
He does play center as well, which is pretty darn nice. If he's our 2C, that's pretty fucking nice.
2C, I don't know. I mean, he might be your 1C. I listen. I know we all.
I think Tage has earned his 1C spot for now.
Huh?
I think Tage has proved himself to be the one right now.
Has he? I mean, he's had one really good season. Does that make him automatically your 1C?
I think it's his job to lose.
He's been in the. Is it wrong to bring in a guy who can be a proven 1C? And is it so bad? I mean, it's not like you're taking ice time away from Tage Thompson. No, if anything, he'd probably still have the same amount of ice time. But to have that 1-2 punch, that 1A, 1B option of a JT Miller and a Tage Thompson, I think you're doing pretty good for yourself. Regardless of who you slide in as your first line center.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's totally fair. And I guess it is also worth noting that JT does have one more year after this one at 5 or 5.5. So
very team friendly.
Pretty darn affordable for a dude who's 29. And then of course, if that were what happened in the offseason, that would be a nice prove it year. Obviously, you don't want to be shelling out too much money for a guy going into his 30s. I mean, we're gonna know how that feels in a few years from now when Jeff Skinner's 33 or 34, pushing that $9 million AAV. It'll be interesting to see how that one shakes out. But again, that's just a bottle special that we can never get out.
And you want to know what, man? He'll make a lot of Sabres fans happy because he does wear number 9. Very easy jersey nameplate switch for a lot of fans out there. So
they do share a few letters too.
Yep. And you want to know what? He's played center. I mean, he's listed as a center here on NHL.com. 91 points in 73 games. And the fact that this guy, he has Granado ties. He has played under Granado in the U.S. development program. So you do have that tie to Donnie Meatballs there. So I look at him as a whole, and I'm just like, man, it seems like a very, very good fit for me. Like, and the fact of the matter is, like, there's been a lot of speculation about whether or not JT Miller is part of the solution in Vancouver. And I think Buffalo has a lot of assets that they could send Vancouver's way to bring in a JT Miller. And you know what? Honestly, he doesn't really show anything of slowing down. I'd be willing to offer that guy like a 3 to 4 year extension. Why not? Like, I mean, honestly, like, offer him an extension till he's 35. At like, what's the number you would top out at for a guy who's more than a point per game?
I mean, this team has so much cap space already for the next couple of years, and for someone like Miller who could get him over the hump, it's anything like the cap going up as well, 7.5. Like that number. What are you thinking?
I would want to stop at 7 max. Just,
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it in the big picture, in 2023, 2024, when that deal would need to be re-signed and made, obviously that's the end of Kyle Okposo and Semgus Girgensons, but that's when Tage Thompson's RFA deal kicks in. That's when Dylan Cousins' RFA kicks in. I believe, no, that's not when Peyton Krebs kicks in, but Matthias Samuelsson will kick in then. There are some contracts that you need to take into consideration that would potentially expire at that same time. So, yes, we're in a good state right now because a lot of the guys that are producing for us are either on their entry level deals, or they were signed back when, we saw their potential, but it had not been fully realized. Like, I mean, Casey Middlestat makes like 2.5.
Yeah.
Tate's 1.4. Like, that's the best contract in the fucking league right now.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Just based on points per dollar. But that said, Tage Thompson's going to cost you a pretty penny, and he will be 26 at that point.
Okposo will be off your books too, though.
Okposo will be off your books. That's true. And in some strange world where he sticks around as a fourth line guy, I really hope that number goes down by half, bare minimum. Good Lord.
I got to head out, gentlemen.
I was going to wrap this up anyway, guys. With that being said, big win for the Buffalo Sabres, and I couldn't be more happy with the way they've been playing. Yeah, you have a few efforts here that leave you wanting more, like the St. Louis game, but I back-to-back wins against the Philadelphia Flyers, with the way they've done it. I mean, hell yeah,
Feels
man.
good.
Like coming back from a 3-1 deficit yesterday and then absolutely pumping them today. I'm sorry. I really don't. And there were some spots where the game seemed a little bit closer than it should have been, but I mean, Buffalo had them on their heels a lot, outshot them, really controlled a lot of pace. There was a lot of chemistry in those top two lines. It was an exciting game to watch, and it gave me a nice break from watching Game of Thrones while I've had COVID. So
true. So, good weekend for Western New York. Back-to-back wins for Buffalo. Rochester still in the playoff hunt. I believe the Bandits confirmed that they are the top of their division, first seed. Yep. So, Western New York on top, even when the Bills aren't playing.
We had one last comment in the peanut gallery. I love the up from Olsen lately. It's so good to see. I've written him off completely during the long scoring drought, but he's really shown some promise, some heart. What do you guys think? I think we kind of already addressed that.
Yeah.
He's
someone that, like Duane, I think we were all kind of beating the drum of get him out of here at the deadline, get what we can out of him. And
I mean, we weren't wrong. And honestly, I mean, he's still not a lock on this team next year. He really isn't. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for the show. Let's go Buffalo. Thank you, Alex Lanner. Make sure you're subscribed to our channel, Alex, at Two Goalies One Mike on YouTube and all our other platforms. Please hit that subscribe button and the like if you don't mind. Helps us a lot get noticed in this world of hockey podcasting. With that being said, guys, I'll hang up and listen. Let's go Sabres. And make sure you tune in tomorrow. Me and colleague Kyle Quick will be going live for another episode of Two Goalies One Mike. Episode 96, inching closer to episode 100. And remember, this is brought to you by Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. Let's go Sabres.